Hi everyone, welcome to class. For today you will need a block, 2 massage balls or tennis balls, and a broomstick or a mobility stick. Now we're only going to use the stick for stability today, so if you don't have it, then just make sure that you have access to a wall space. We're going to come up to standing. We're going to start from standing. Just close your eyes for a second, find a nice tall position, and then start to visualize that tripod on the bottom of your feet, starting from the big toe, and then under the pinky toe, and then all the way to the heel. And just distribute your weight between these 3 areas. And then just tuning into the body, whatever movement feels good for you here. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And then shifting a little bit of more weight back toward the heels. As you find some stability, some length in the spine. Start coming back to center, rooting down with your feet. Wrap your arms around you. And then give your body a little bit of an irradiation, meaning squeezing everything together, grabbing your arms, and then dropping your chin slowly all the way down to your chest. And then keep going, keep rounding forward with the spine. And then once you get to that point that you can't go further, then start rotating with your torso over to the left, but don't take your hips with it. Once you can't rotate, then side bend, and then extend it all the way back as you're rotating over to the right. Side bend to the right, and then slowly rolling all the way back to center, and just keep going in the same direction, rotating to the left, side bending, extending all the way back, rotating to the right, side bending to the right, and rolling all the way back to center. Switch direction, start rotating over to the right, side bend, squeeze into your bum as you extend it all the way back. You're rotating to the left, side bend, and flexing it all the way forward. Let's just do 2 more. Keep going, so you don't have to follow my pace. What's important is that you keep the movement going and you don't stop at certain parts of the movement. And if there's any pain you feel when you're closing one side or when you're extending back, then don't extend back. And if that is the case, then shoot me a message and then I can give you some modifications, or we can work on it, find out why it's not happening. But if there's any tension in the lower back, always squeeze into your glutes. Rolling all the way forward and then all the way back down. Release the arms out to the side and drop the right ear to the right shoulder. Just pause here for a second, finding some heaviness in the left shoulder. As I move my left hand behind, place it on my lower back, just to keep this left shoulder all the way back. Start to lean down to the right, running my fingertips down on the side of my legs. Once you can't go further, you bend into the knees. Reach down a little more, and then maybe reach that top arm all the way up. And then to exit, you simply straighten the legs first and allow your torso to follow all the way back. Let's do 2 more. Dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. Left hand moves behind. Start running your fingers all the way down. So this is where you're making sure that the shoulder would want to roll forward. That's why I place my hand behind. to keep it stacked. Then find that bend in the knees. Reach up. And the legs come straight first. Come all the way up. One more, last one. Right ear drops again. Start walking those fingertips down. See if you can go a little lower this time. And then reach that left arm up. Legs come straight. Come all the way up. Let's switch sides. Left ear drops to the left shoulder. I like to stay there for a couple of seconds just to get that heaviness on the right side. As I start to run my fingertips down, bending into the knees, reaching up. Straighten the legs. Come all the way up. Let's just do 2 more. Right, left ear drops to the left shoulder. Start reaching down. So they look like tiny little movements, and they look nothing from the outside, but they're actually quite challenging. Press into the feet. Come all the way up. Last one on your own. Just follow your own pace. And then why we're doing this, because we're stretching out the obliques. And once we work on freeing our side body, it just helps us breathe better. And then all the way up. We're going to grab those balls. And as I'm reaching my arms forward, I'm really focusing on not moving my spine, just my shoulder blades. So I'm going to glide my shoulder blades away from each other so my arms pull forward. And then I pull back in, I squeeze the blades together. And then glide them away, go into that protraction. Pull them back together, retraction. Protract, retract. Protract, retract. This time when you protract forward, elevate the head of the shoulders to your ears, then move the shoulder blades back, squeeze them together, and send them all the way down. So it just becomes a circle now. Glide the blades away from each other, elevate them all the way to the ears, squeeze them together, retraction, send them down, depress. Let's link it, let's go a little faster. Take it into a circle. Of course, you don't have to go too fast. Actually, the slower you go, the better it is. Try not to move anything else so the spine is steady and stable. And if it's easy, it's going so well, then let's see if we can lift the arms a little higher. And then let's go from there. Gliding the shoulder blades away from each other, elevating, retracting, and sending it down. Let's do 2 more. And then we switch directions. So squeeze back, squeeze together, elevate, protract, and depress. Squeezing it together, retraction, lifting to the ears, gliding it away, and releasing it all the way down. Shake the arms out if you need to. Keep the balls in your hands. I'm going to really squeeze into the left ball as I move my right arm towards center. The ball is facing up in my hand. As I start to reach up with the right arm all the way, once I reach and I can't go further, I start to spin my arm all the way in. As I go back, I still keep spinning all the way in, so the knuckles end up facing my hips. Then from this inner rotation, I go all the way back, and then just spin it all the way back and forward. I'm gonna show it from this. So external rotation, you bring it in toward the midline, As you start to lift it all the way up, think about spinning your arm all the way in. So it goes into an internal rotation, and keep spinning as you come all the way down. Reach back. And then without taking the torso involved or your hips, spin the arm back forward. Let's do one more. See what happens if you really squeeze into the ball, especially when you're making that axial rotation, when you start to spin the arm all the way in. So I'm still spinning here. My knuckles are facing my hips. I go back. And without changing the position of my torso, I come all the way down. Switching directions, switching sides. Now the right hand is squeezing into the ball. Left arm comes into center. You're in external rotation. Reach the arm up. Reach, reach, reach. Start spinning it in. And all the way down. Keep spinning it in. As you're staying in that inner rotation, you reach the arm back. And then you spin it all the way forward. Finishing in that external rotation. 2 more. Again, same idea. You don't have to follow my pace. Go as slow as you can with as much control as you can. And keep the movement going. The slower the better. I'm a little too fast normally. Spinning it all the way forward. Let's just re-squeeze into that right arm, right into the ball. Squeeze your bum. Reach up. Spin it in just from the shoulders. Don't let the torso get involved. And then reaching all the way back. And then spinning it all the way forward. Beautiful. Let's bend into the knees, hinging from the hips, keeping our back flat. Just placing the balls down to the ground as we release the hands down and come all the way down to our knees into a tabletop position. If you can, the wrists come under the shoulders and your knees come under your hips. Keep your back flat, your neck straight, elbow pits are pointing forward, and start shifting the weight forward and back around your hands. Just exposing our hands to some weight bearing. Preparing our nervous system. And then switching directions. So we're not going to work on our hands today. It's a short class. But we do this all the time, every single class. We prepare the joints before we bear weight on our hands. And well, we prepare all of our joints. And now keeping the back flat, arms straight, just start walking your hands all the way in and then all the way out. And then go again. All the way in. Stay there for a moment if it feels good. See if you can move your lower back, if you can tuck and untuck your tailbone here, keeping your upper back flat. And then walk it all the way out, back to the other direction, so the fingertips are pointing at my knees now. And let's see how it feels if you bend the arms a little bit. You could also try shifting the weight. And then release. I'm going to flip over to the top of my right hand. And then from here, I'm just going to spin around on the top of the hand. And why I'm doing this is because I want to make sure that the top of the hand gets in contact with the ground and gets a little bit of an exposure, which doesn't normally happen. We don't normally do this kind of work for our hands. And then you can switch directions. So these are called the wrist squish. So just spinning around. And if you've never done this, then it's really awkward, but it feels so good. All right, spin it back. Let's switch hands. Come over to the top of the left hand. And it doesn't have to be really big movements, especially if this is the first time you're doing it. It's just kind of like experimenting. Just a couple of more. And then coming back into that tabletop. The back is flat. Lift your head up. Just start reaching your right leg back and press all the way into those right toes. And then from here, shift the weight forward and then shift the weight back. Just a few more times, keeping your back flat. Squeeze your glutes and just keep pressing into that toe, shifting back and forth. If this is really easy, then just pick up that left knee off of the floor. Just 2 more. And then release. We're going to flip over on the top of the right foot to repeat the same movement what we did on our hands, squishing the top of the foot all the way into the ground. So I'm flipping over as my toes, top of the foot touching the ground, circling it around, and then switching directions. And then pull that right knee in. Again, back is flat, look up. Move the left foot back. Come up on the toes, squeeze into the glute, start shifting back and forth. So for some of us, this could already be an intense toe stretch. If you feel like you got more in you today, pick up that right knee. Just keep going back and forth. 3 more. And release. Flip it over to the top of the foot and continue with your ankle with your foot squish. You might notice that it feels different on one foot opposed to the other. Like for me, this left side feels really awkward. And then switch directions. And then pull the knee in. Shift the weight forward into the hands. Curl the toes under. Lift the knees off of the floor as you start walking your hands toward your feet. If you need the hands, press into the hands to come up a little bit to make your heels flat, back flat. Come all the way into the tippy toes, flat your back, sit heavy into the glutes. And exhale, drop the crown of the head all the way down to the ground. Press into the feet and slowly roll all the way up to standing as slow as you can, making sure that your head comes up last. From here, I'm going to bend into the knees to hinge down just to pick up the stick, because I will need it for mobility. I'm going to start on the right leg. The stick is in front of me. I'm going to show it in this direction first. Nice and tall, standing up nice and tall. Press into the left foot and lift your right knee up. Keeping the pelvis nice and leveled. Flex your feet, pull the toes all the way back toward your knees. And then start dropping, turning the thigh out. The heel comes up. And then come back to center. And then start turning the thigh in. So the heel comes out to the side. One more time. Back to center. Turn the thigh out. External rotation. Back to center. Roll it in. Internal rotation. Coming back into center, making sure the hips are leveled again. We're going to roll the thigh out, going to that external rotation. From here, I'm really making sure I'm focusing forward with these two bones as I open my leg just a little bit. Making sure that my hip bones don't move as I start to roll the knee in into that inner rotation. And as I extend it all the way back, knees touch. And again, the leg comes up, roll out, external rotation, open the leg to the side, roll it in without lifting the hips, extend it back. Just one more. External rotation. Leg opens just a bit to the side as it starts to roll in and extend all the way back. We're going to switch directions. Really important to make sure there's no movement in the lower back. So you're going to move the knee back and then from here open it out to the side without lifting the hips up and circle it back. And again, drive the knee back, squeeze into the bum. Circle it forward. Just one more. And release. So the circle doesn't have to be big. The smaller, it's fine to be small. It just needs to be controlled. And we don't want to move the hips. So bring the left knee up. Push into that left hip, keep it down, keep the pelvis leveled as you start to rotate the thigh out, back to center, rotate in. One more time, roll it out, external, back to center, all the way in, internal rotation. Come back where we started, start rolling it out again, squeeze into the bum as you start to open the leg. Roll it in, send it all the way back, and then forward again. External rotation. Keep opening without moving the pelvis, without lifting the side of the pelvis, extending it all the way back. Just one more, last one. Find that external rotation first. Open, spin it in, extend it all the way back. Knees touch, switch directions 3 times. Squeeze into the bum, move the left leg back and slowly circling it forward. And again, go slow with control. One more. Squeeze into the bum as you extend the leg back. Open. We're lubricating our hip joints right now. And then release. Put the stick down. Just come to the top of the mat and let's see how it feels to put it all together and just go all the way down to the ground. Inhale, reach the arms up. And let's just come up all the way up to your tippy toes and keep reaching up a little higher. And then first just exhale, release your heels all the way down as you bend into the knees and hinge all the way forward from the hips. Find a flat back, inhaling to halfway, hands can be on the shin. And exhale, Hands come down, step all the way back for plank. Hold plank for a moment. Keep pulling the fingers to the toes, squeeze your glutes together. As you exhale, bend the elbows without letting the head of the shoulders fall down. Slowly lower down in one piece. Move the arms out to the side, come all the way up into the fingertips and just squeeze your shoulder blades together. Pelvis is heavy, pressing into the ground. And if it feels available, then just press into those fingers and lift the chest. And come down. That lift can be just a tiny little bit, even here, or maybe no lift. One more time. Bring the hands in toward your ribs. Press the feet into the ground. Hands are hovering off of the floor. So this could be your upward dog. Or if you feel ready, then hands come down. Come all the way up for upward facing dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Walk your hands one last time toward your feet. Bend into the knees and see if you can just shoot one leg forward, not like what I did because I couldn't, and come all the way down. Let's just roll all the way down on our back for our final pose today, relaxation. With every exhalation, feel your body getting heavier and heavier, sinking into the ground. Nothing else to do now, just relax. We're going to stay here for another few breaths together. But if you have more time, or if you feel like that you would like to spend more time in relaxation, then please do so and just feel free to turn me off right now. Start gathering the knees together, bringing them to the chest one by one. Just rocking side to side. Move your feet out to the side, mat width apart, knees are bent. And drop your knees all the way in together toward the center of your mat. Just for another couple of breaths. Let's see if it feels available and if it feels good to reach your arms above your head. If it does, then see if you can grab your left wrist with the right hand and pull that left arm out of the scapula. But don't let the rib pop out. Keep the ribs all the way down in the back. And then switching sides. Left hand grabs the right wrist. What I mean by don't letting the ribs pop out is right here. Pushing it down so the back of the bra line is all the way touching the ground. And then release the arms, release the legs. One more time. Bring them slowly all the way toward to the chest and gently roll over to whatever side feels appropriate for you. Stay there for a breath. And when you're ready, come all the way up to seated. Find a nice tall seated position. Sitting bones are heavy on the floor. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Lift out of the pelvis, reach up high. As you exhale, the hands all the way down.